From the corner!
Second Jack, he's Rob Sacre. I'm Jack Ferris.
Holy shit. What did we just talk about?
It's Wednesday night. We just talked to Amanda Paulson, ghost expert, Spokane ghost expert.
This might be one of my, it's in my top 5 favorites.
So she's equal parts like, calm down, like ghosts aren't going to kill you. And then the other 50% is like, but like they may. Like ghosts make
don't provoke something that's out there, basically.
Pretty much like the ghosts are real and there's proof, and she has made a living finding these ghosts. Excellent talk with Amanda. We've been trying to track her down for quite some time.
I'm lost for words after that episode.
We got her. I will say, I mean, it would be remiss of us not to talk about this off the top, though, as we enter into this podcast, this particular episode of the podcast, and that is, how'd you spend your Labor Day, Rob?
Pretty damn good.
Hey, look, Coach Few got charged with a DUI. And
he's human. You know what was crazy, Jack? I had a lot of people text me about that and call me about that, and ironically they've gotten DUIs themselves. Do I condone it? No, but at the same time, he's a human being, and it's unfortunate it happened. He's not a victim to anything, and he'll own up to whatever needs to be done, and you know, it sucks, but he's a human being and no one got hurt, thank God. So
no one got hurt. He didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously driving under the influence is very serious and no one should ever do it.
Yeah, but you know, we're not perfect, and not everyone, we just all need to remember no one is perfect in this world, and we shouldn't, I feel, pass judgment. That's all I should say.
Our buddy Jim Meehan, chatted with him. Jim Meehan tweeted out a statement that Coach Few put out, pretty much says, I'm sorry to let y'all down. So go find Jim Meehan's tweet if you want to read it. I will say it looks like he's fighting it. I mean, it's neither here nor there. It's not the charge. It's not the money. It's the hit to the reputation.
Yeah.
And it's the embarrassment of having to deal with it all. It's the embarrassment of the program. And if anyone understands it, the consequences of his particular actions on Labor Day, Monday night, it's Coach Few.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is about as calculated as it comes. He knows he screwed up one way or another. I mean, even if he had 2 or 3 drinks below the legal limit, neither here nor there. This is heavy.
It sounds
weird.
Jack.
This is going to come and go. This is not.
Yeah, no, it's not. We're not going to
forfeit the season.
He's a human being.
Like you said,
let's move on.
Nobody was hurt. Right.
No one got hurt. Let's move on.
And I don't want to put out the message like
drinking and driving is bad. We all know it.
Whom among us throw the first stone?
Let's not even beat this dead horse anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. The biggest thing is the embarrassment that he's having to navigate right now to the program. I mean,
let's move on, Jack. Come on.
It happened on Labor Day. Like, who cares outside of college basketball junkies, Gonzaga basketball junkies, that this happened? You know what I mean? It's college basketball or college football is off and running. NFL tomorrow. By the time you're listening to this tonight, by the way, I have the Cowboys at online.ag.
I just got in my own fantasy league. First time ever.
Yeah. Did you draft already?
Yep.
Good. Who do you got?
Mahomes, Kelsey, Chubb.
Wow, everyone else sucks at drafting. What do you want? What are you in a 4-team league?
Taking advantage of a bunch of 10-year-olds, basically. Yeah. I don't know. Oh man.
Yeah, Coach Few screwed up.
We're going back to that shit. Come on.
No, I mean, well, now we're about to toss to the old soundaroo, and yeah, gee whiz.
Oh man, listen to this one though. Just
Ghosts.
ghosts. And we're not talking
Ghosts.
Patrick Swayze.
Oh, I wish we were. Oh, we should have brought up. Oh,
Oh,
all right.
all right.
Here's Amanda. Amanda Paulson. You can find her on Instagram as pretty effing spooky, FN spooky. She's a paranormal ponderer. And Amanda, I got to tell you, Rob and I we've been doing this. We're entering year 3. We've
Dude,
been dying to get you on.
Oh man, I am so excited. No, you have no idea. Like
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So what got you in this field in the first place?
Sure. So I had my first paranormal experience when I was about 7 years old. And that kind of kick-started my interest in the paranormal. And then I joined a team in 2008, which kind of got me started with professional investigating. And then I started Pretty Effin' Spooky about 2.5 years ago.
Well, were you the girl from Poltergeist?
Okay, let's back it up. Yeah. Let's localize it here. You are from where?
I'm originally from Montana, but I've been in Spokane, Washington for 11 years this October.
Okay. And trust me, people, I've done the research. Amanda is pretty much the most well-respected local inland Northwest. I don't even know how to describe it. Ghost and goblin expert.
Ghostbuster.
And I also don't want to offend you. That's the last thing I want to do.
Oh, you're not going to offend me. Ghostbuster,
okay,
ghost hunter, paranormal investigator is what I call myself the most often. But I do lots of stuff and I look for lots of weird things.
Do you have a license that says paranormal investigator?
No, I don't. But now I'm thinking I probably should get one. I have a sticker.
There is something like that.
I'm sure I could type one up, but there are certifications out there. I have been doing this for like 12 years, going on 13 years. I have not typed myself up a certification. I don't really think it's necessary.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where, just to again localize it, where'd you go to high school?
Not in Spokane. I went to high school in Billings, Montana, at a school called West High. So I'm a little older than people usually think I am. So I'm 31. I graduated in 08.
You're younger than both of us. So
Yes.
way to show
right
off.
On.
Okay.
Nice.
Before we get into Spokane and all the ghosts and ghouls in Spokane, 7 years old when you had your first paranormal experience.
What was that?
So when I was 7, I lived in what I like to call a haunted duplex with my mom and my grandma. We had just moved to Montana from Southern California. And I walked into the place. I was only 7, like I said, and I was not predisposed to spooky stuff. I didn't watch spooky things on TV. I didn't really know what ghosts were, but I walked into this duplex and I was like, this place is creepy. I don't know. Like in my 7-year-old mind, I was like, ooh, like it's scary and there's ghosts here. I later was coloring in my room one day, and I remember I was coloring and like singing the national anthem or something that a 7-year-old would sing. And I heard a glass vase on my dresser move all the way across from one end to the other. And after that, I made my mom switch me rooms. But that place continued to be haunted until we moved out. And then I ended up having paranormal experiences throughout my life.
So would you consider yourself a medium?
That's a hard question, and I get it a lot. I don't consider myself a medium just because I don't really want that pressure put on me and I'm not really experienced in that way. But I do think that if you do this long enough, you end up kind of having a sensitivity to it, or like kind of opening up yourself to medium abilities. So I do feel like I have like an extra sense in a way. But I wouldn't consider myself a full-fledged medium. I can't like contact anyone's loved ones or anything intense like that.
So with senses being involved, I have this cat and I swear he sees people in my house. Do animals have a higher sense than humans, or are you not sure about that?
So my personal opinion is yes, I think that animals can pick up things. I've had some weird experiences with animals. I did a Ouija board one time a long time ago. And some crazy stuff was going down, and the dog in the apartment with us was in the corner just looking up in this corner, just completely like distracted by something that we couldn't see. So I feel like I've seen that on multiple occasions where animals can kind of pick up something else. So yeah, I think that could be true.
Oh, because yeah, go ahead, Jack. I have so many questions too.
You've lived in Spokane for how long?
11 years.
Okay. Would you call Spokane a rich city when it comes to paranormal activity?
Stuff. Yeah, I felt like you guys were going to ask this because I know that you guys are from here or used to live here. But it's weird. Spokane's weird because you have a lot of people in Spokane who want to reject its haunted history. Like, you don't have a lot of openness here, but it's definitely there under the surface. You have lots of places, even just downtown, that are haunted. And then you have really old land too. You know, Washington in general, Washington is has the highest amount of UFO sightings in the nation, actually.
What? No. I thought
No
no.
I thought that was Nevada.
I thought it was Alaska by like a million. I thought Nome was like straight aliens.
I don't know what 2021 has come up with yet, because there's been a lot of weird stuff going on in 2021. But according to MUFON, the site that like tracks all of the UFO sightings, the last time I looked, Washington was very high up on the list. But we also have Sasquatch sightings. You know, we have all sorts of weird stuff here. So I think that Spokane has a lot of haunted history underneath the surface. You just have to do a lot of digging here because people don't want to hear about it for some reason.
What is your, like, okay, if so, I'm just a no man that walks through, you know, downtown, and I land upon a building. What is the scariest building that I do not want to walk upon?
Downtown Spokane, where should we avoid?
Yes.
Browns
Edition.
Browns Edition spooky. But there's lots of houses here. I don't know if you could just like walk into one of the houses, but businesses downtown. So the Davenport is a really famous haunted location, but everyone loves the Davenport. So it's not necessarily very scary, but it is haunted.
Why?
And then
Tell
you
us
also
why is it haunted? No.
So
Nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Why is the Davenport? Because that's going to raise some eyebrows as people listening. Why is the Davenport haunted?
Sure. So a while back, I don't know what year, in the early 1900s, a woman was at the Davenport. She was upstairs and she ended up opening the wrong door and stepping outside onto the glass, like atrium ceiling. If you've been into the old Davenport, the ceiling is all glass. Well, there's a door above that you can at one time open, and she fell through the glass and died. And so there's reports of her being in the Davenport still and haunting it to this day. I actually stayed at the Davenport recently with the intent to investigate. And I ended up coming up with some really interesting results regarding Spokane fires, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, the Davenport, and plus hotels in general just tend to have more activity. You have lots of people going in there living. You have lots of people dying, I assume, you know, at any hotel. But yeah, I think actually a few hotels downtown have known to have paranormal activity. The Montville is another one that comes to mind. And then the Otis, which was abandoned for a long time, that is now Hotel Indigo, and that one also is known to be haunted.
I stayed at the Hotel Indigo last time I was in Spokane.
Did you? Did you like it?
Yeah. Before we get into my question about you investigating, what's the Hotel Indigo story?
I don't know that story myself. It's just starting to hit the rumor mill that it's haunted. I don't even know what stories people have gotten from there, but I did do some research on it because I was looking at getting a room there. And there was just like reports of, you know, voices and seeing a shadow and typical paranormal activity, but I don't know who from who. Again, it's a hotel, so who knows who could have died there. And plus it sat vacant with, you know, people staying in it while it was vacant. So I think that could have contributed too.
It's a creepy ass hotel.
Yeah.
What
Go ahead, Rob.
what about Gonzaga? Has there been any paranormal stuff at Gonzaga? Like Desmet? I feel like there was something that happened in Desmet, or like, are we talking exorcisms and stuff?
There is a building at Gonzaga, and the name of the building is escaping me right now. It's like a house, an old house.
Oh,
but
the
Music Mansion. The Music
music
Mansion.
mansion.
And I think that there's a story that I read about an exorcism there, actually, but I don't know if there's any truth to that. I wish I could investigate it, but I do not have the connections to Gonzaga.
We'll make this
To go.
happen. We can make
Yeah.
it. I think there should be a study.
Yeah,
Wha-
I would wonder if Gonzaga would be okay with that.
Why is it that buildings are haunted? Like the spirits just hang out in the building. They can't get out. They like, you know what I mean? Like why aren't
Yeah.
area like the Music Mansion is right next door to, I don't
They
know,
just can't
Junt.
go and have a beer at nights.
They can't go across the
Yeah.
street tonight. You know what I mean? They're stuck
Yeah.
in the Music Mansion. Is that what's going on? They're in house arrest.
Yeah, I
Sure.
never got that.
Yeah, well, so this is all like personal gnosis. So this is what I believe, but it's not necessarily what everyone believes. I don't think that ghosts are tied to one place. I think that if if these ghosts are real, and if they're lucid, if they're intelligent, then they're likely choosing to stay there or choosing to stay somewhere familiar, or they might be choosing to stay somewhere where people are talking about them or talking to them or resurrecting their name in a sense. Like when storytelling is keeping the energy kind of alive and kind of pumping living energy back into it, I think that that is why ghosts tend to stay in one place. But for instance, if you have like, you bulldoze a place, is the ghost just hanging around in this like empty lot? Would, if it turned into a parking lot, would the ghost just walk around this empty parking lot? Probably not. I like to believe that the energy just kind of gets dispersed back into whatever is out there at that point. But I've had, on myself personally, I've brought home hauntings from investigations.
So
What?
Wait a minute.
thought
Wait a
you
minute.
can't
Wait a minute.
bring
Wait a
them-
minute.
the
Wait a minute.
movies-
Wait a minute.
the
Whoa,
movies
whoa,
say
whoa,
you
whoa,
can't
whoa,
bring
whoa,
them
whoa,
back.
Whoa. Did you invite them?
Well, so there's been a couple instances, and it's
Okay.
I should-
Give
Let
me
her talk,
one.
Jack.
I
Let
know.
her talk.
But I do have to say, before you go any further, can you please give one instance of when you went to a haunting and
Oh,
the haunting came
man.
back home? And
Sure.
did you like pour a drink or what do you do?
No, well, so I was gonna say I should preface this by saying it's not like in the movies. It's not like I walked hand in hand back home with this ghost and they're just chilling with me. But it's more like residual energy, like almost like it's like sticky and it gets stuck to me. And I come home and then all of a sudden something falls off the shelf and I'm hearing footsteps down the hallway and kind of like small stuff like that, and it'll dissipate over time too. One instance that was pretty strong was actually not an investigation, but a haunted object, which is also very interesting as far as how energy or ghosts can move from one place to the other. But I housed a haunted doll for like a week in my apartment, and there was
Annabelle?
no, I wish it was Annabelle.
No, but just similar to Annabelle type story.
Yeah. So my friend and I actually bought a haunted doll on eBay, and she's in Ohio and I'm here. So one of us.
What was this? How was the doll? Sorry. How was the? Now you have to backstory the doll.
Yeah, I know. This
Holy
is just
shit.
this is just gonna keep going back to me telling like a million stories. But
That's why you're here.
yeah. So we looked on eBay for a haunted doll. We found one that was cheap because I feel like a real haunted doll isn't gonna be $200. It's gonna be cheap because I want to get rid of it. So we bought this doll for like $13. The story was that it was some elderly woman from next door that had passed away, and then the doll was like found in a garage sale or something, and they thought that the doll was haunted by a woman named Betty. So I spent a week with the doll, then I shipped it off to my friend in Ohio, and she spent a week with the doll, and we didn't share anything about what we were experiencing during that time, so we didn't want to like have any bias or anything for our experiment. And then at the end of it, we came together and shared what we experienced. And it was really interesting because it was kind of spooky, but I mean, I put that thing like by my bed and nothing too crazy happened, but there were footsteps down the hall. Things were falling off of our shelves, kind of just really active and like kind of electric in the house for a
What the
while. And
fuck? Why? Why? Okay. All right. This is great. Amanda.
Don't. Here's my. All right, we need to speak right now because Amanda, is there any way that you're gonna transport some shit to us? Like, I'm not
Good
gonna
question,
go.
Rob. We're on the internet.
Yeah, like you're not just
Good
gonna.
question.
I don't know. I don't know any of this. I don't, like we said, we don't want to offend you. We're not making like. I don't need some shit in my house. That's all I'm saying.
you're not offending me, and no, I would never do that. I don't even know how to do that. That would be
No,
cool
I'm
if
not
I
saying
could.
you personally, but they
Like,
you are just, and we're
yeah.
talking about this shit, and all of a sudden my lights start flickering or something like
No,
that.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen. There'd have
Good.
to be something that had some reason to be there, I'd like to think. But
I got some things that some good reasons that need to be here.
yeah, they do say like once you open a door, if you open a window or whatever, then those things come in. But no, I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, and you can't offend me. All of this stuff is pretty weird, but I take pride in
But
being a
you
weirdo.
got my
No.
attention.
Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa,
it's
whoa, whoa,
totally
whoa.
fine.
Why do hauntings happen? So you told that story about Davenport, the lady who sounded like she had too many down at the Peacock Lounge and just walked out of a window.
Yeah.
Is the answer as simple as that? People just die in a location, their spirit stays there. Like unfinished business is where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
what?
yeah.
Do you have a Spokane centric story of a guy that was wronged or a woman that was wronged and is sticking around waiting to right that wrong? I'm trying to write
Sure.
a
So,
horror novel.
yeah. Yeah. So I think on all of the investigations I've been on, I've seen like a multitude of um different kinds of haunting. So I do think sometimes the unfinished business trope is true, where an intelligent spirit of somebody will stick around until, say, their murder is solved or something like that. I think that makes sense to me. I've seen that on a recent investigation that I did for a documentary on the peninsula. But you also have, gosh, so many things. So I went to Waverly Hills, which is a really popular investigation spot. It's down in Kentucky. And that's something that's like maybe not necessarily haunted by somebody who has unfinished business, but maybe has more to do with how many ghost hunters are going in there and hoping that there's a ghost there and kind of injecting their own energy into the place. And that can create what's called a tulpa, which is a human created ghost. Basically, like if we sit here and say, Timmy, the little boy ghost, is here, even though that's not true. But if that story gets told time and time again, and multiple people come in looking for Timmy the ghost, and all of a sudden you start hearing a little boy and like actual activity starts happening. So you have instances like that.
Whoa. Was this Timmy the boy a 6'10" power forward who had excellent back to the ball skills?
Back to the basket.
Back to the basket skills.
I don't know what any of that means.
Okay.
You just keep rolling. You keep rolling.
Yeah.
He's talking basketball terms, sometimes, don't worry about it.
I thought to myself, I was like, maybe I should look up like basketball stuff real quick.
No.
I had to look up.
I don't need to know what spirits are haunting what court. That's something
Haunting the ball. Yeah. No. But yeah, what were we talking
I'll
about?
tell you a story though.
Yes, I was getting into this, and then I have after Rob's story, I have a follow-up.
In Oklahoma City, we always I played, there was a hotel we would stay at in Oklahoma City and in Milwaukee. And those were claimed to be, guys refused to stay in these hotels. Literally, so I had teammates that would buy their own hotel rooms because these hotels were so haunted, supposedly.
Wow.
Milwaukee was the Pfister, and the Oklahoma, the Skelton Shelter, something like that, in Oklahoma City. But those were two on the road that guys refused to stay at. It was the craziest shit I'd ever seen.
Interesting. And that's hotels again. I feel like hotels are super haunted for some reason. It just
So-
seems like lots of activity.
I watch American Horror Story.
hmm
Is that based on true?
Yeah. What do you think
semi-true?
about American Horror Story?
I personally love watching American Horror Story. I consume like tons of spooky TV shows and movies and stuff, even if there's not much truth behind it. American Horror Story is a big stretch, I think, if we think back to like Murder House season,
Yeah.
where anyone who gets killed on the property, it gets stuck on the property. I have not personally found that to be true. I mean, it could be true some places, maybe somewhere like the Murder House. I have a theory actually that I think the Murder House itself, because that's a real building in California, I do think that that house is going to have real activity because of all of the folklore around the house now. I wouldn't be surprised if people start experiencing lots of crazy stuff there. I think they have advertised it as being haunted. I think it's like an Airbnb now. But and then you have movies like The Conjuring and the Conjuring series.
That is those series are the most terrifying series.
They're scary. Yeah.
How
I
The
love
accurate-
them.
Nun,
How
the
accurate-
Nun gets me every time.
How
Yeah.
accurate is all that? The Conjuring.
I feel like The Conjuring is more accurate than a lot of things I've seen, but that's because Ed and Lorraine Warren were real people and they were actually,
And they
doing
hunted all these
investigation.
all these stories. So like,
yeah, I think they're obviously dramatized for
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie's sake, but yeah, I mean I feel like that makes more sense, especially with recent movies where they've shown their haunted museum full of haunted objects and stuff. I think that, I mean, I have friends who own haunted museum, like with haunted objects. That's definitely a real thing. So I feel like The Conjuring is pretty accurate. But I don't personally get into like exorcism stuff or like demon stuff myself. I'm a little bit more on the skeptical side with the demon stuff. That's just my personal belief. I don't really quite believe in all of the demon stuff, but I think for people who do believe in demons, it is very real for them. So I tread on that
You're
pretty
not-
carefully.
so like, but does that go back to the whole idea of like, if you like create this ghost, you can create this demon ghost probably?
Probably, yeah. I
That's
think
probably what
absolutely.
yeah, like, so if you believe there's a demon and you slowly like manifest this thing, probably the demon would show up.
Yeah, well, you could, I mean, my mom even has a story that she was dating a guy a long time ago, and he started getting into like demonology or something, like worshiping demons, and he had this one demon that he claimed helped him like do great things or whatever. And she like this
What
is a
a
crazy story.
loser.
I've actually
I'm
never,
sorry.
I've
I'm
no,
just
actually
he's a
saying
hell of a guy.
stepdaddy.
He's my kind of guy.
What a loser.
I
God.
used Rob said it before I did.
Yeah.
well,
Jeez.
I've actually never told this story before. I don't know where the hell I plucked this out of my brain, but she said, she tells me the story where one time she walked in his place and a name popped up in her head, and it was like some kind of weird demon name. Like she didn't know it. I don't even remember what it was. It was like gibberish, but and she looked it up and it doesn't exist. It's not a real demon. And I feel like that is an instance of him kind of creating something in his mind that he wanted to help him. Like he needed that for some reason, that push, and he like almost created this demon that then she experienced and was like, oh my god, it's a demon. So I don't know, that's kind of a weird
yeah.
story, but yeah, I think that if you inject like fear and like the bad stuff into what you believe, especially like a ghost, like if all of a sudden just small activity happening in your house is really scaring the shit out of you, and and you start wondering what if it's a demon, and you kind of start really injecting that belief into it, I think it can turn negative at that point. So I think that the living basically have more power over this stuff than we give it credit for.
No, I completely agree with you on that.
Telltale signs of if you think your house is haunted versus your house is definitely haunted. Like, what should people check off the list? And then I mean,
Sure.
you answered your own question there. Then I was going to say, when is it demon territory? When are we demon?
Oh,
When are we
yeah.
dealing with like ancient evils?
Sure. So I'd say if you think your house is haunted, first I would check your electrical wiring. I
Mhm.
would maybe have
It's
an
always
electrician come
electrical.
in.
It's always electrical.
Yeah. Well,
That's
because electrical can cause
Flickers.
like fluctuations in electromagnetic field, which is something that we look for in ghost hunting because hypothetically ghosts can also fluctuate that. But like if you have faulty wiring or bad wiring in your place and it's just pumping out EMF at a really high amount, then that can actually create paranoia and it can create like different feelings that people associate with
check your
paranormal.
electrical. Make sure your electrical's tight and right. Okay.
Yep. And then, and check for all the normal stuff, check for drafts from the windows, etc. I'd say, your house is haunted if, like, I've experienced, seeing things out of the corner of your eye. If that's not common for you, I'd say you're probably picking up on something.
Holy
You're hearing.
shit. I knew it. I knew my house, dude. I swear there's somebody that runs across my front door window all the time, but it just faces the woods.
That sounds spooky. That sounds pretty scary, to be honest. But
And there's no kid. The kids will all be in. I'll scream for my kids, and they'll all be in the house. And I'm watching TV, and I swear there's something that runs. And then my lights flicker in the bathroom. We've talked about this. We talked about this, Jack.
Can you do an exorcism on Rob's house?
No,
You don't do exorcisms. You don't do exorcisms.
I don't
but
do exorcisms. No.
okay. So that being said, sage.
So it depends on what you're into, what kind of like religious beliefs you have. Like if you're religious and you want to pray it out, or like,
Oh,
or you can.
the Virgin Mary is lit every day in
Yeah.
my house. So just to
I
let you know.
I also encourage people to just like talk directly to whatever might be haunting your house, like, which I think scares a lot of people because they think if they acknowledge it or if they talk to it that it's going to somehow worsen it. But I think it only will if you believe it will. If you're like, I'm scared of you, please stop. Maybe that won't work so well. But if you just address it directly and say, hey,
What you need? What you need?
Yeah, hey, what are you doing here? Or like, hey, this is my house and you're scaring me. You need to leave. Like, leave right now, whatever. And I found success with that. I've even done that in my own place. One time I woke up in the middle of the night and I walked to my office that I'm in right now. And I don't know why, but I just felt, I was like, something's like walking around back here. So I don't know what's going on. So I was like, hey, and I just clapped it out. I was like, get out of here. Whatever's in here, go. And then it left and it stopped. So
do you have stories, maybe not yourself, but of people just like face-to-face eye contact with ghosts?
Oh,
And then there's like,
God.
whoa, this is awkward. And then the ghost like runs away. Like, I mean, I get, it's hard for me to ask that question without sounding condescending, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
straight up encounter with like a dead
Person.
girl in a dress.
Yeah.
Sure. So I've had some friends who have seen full bodied apparitions, which is kind of what you're talking about, like a full on looks like a person ghost. I've had lots of friends see them. I don't think I have any friends who have like looked one in the eye and like had a moment with it or like connected with it in any way that weren't claiming to be mediums, because it's kind of like tricky because you have people who believe that they have like this gift to speak to ghosts, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that ghost like that they're talking to I could also see. It's more, I think, happening. Not see, now I'm starting to sound condescending to mediums, but it's like I think that that's happening more in their head, like, or there's something else going on there. But I have not personally, and I haven't seen anyone like come face to face with a ghost and just full on talk to it or whatever. Like paranormal activity seems to be way more nuanced than that. And like, if you do see a full bodied apparition, sometimes it's like half of a person, or it's like, a really quick shadow, or it's something that's not as like, not as defined as like you and I. So I can't tell you any stories I have of somebody talking directly to a ghost. I feel like that's like the upper echelon of ghost hunting, would be like face to face with one, like, what the fuck is up, you know?
So
Yeah.
so
No,
pe-
yeah, go ahead, Jack. I'm
So-
just lost for words.
so people can't have sex with ghosts.
Of course you
Oh
went
my
there.
gosh.
Of course
That's
you went
also
there.
tricky. That's also tricky because I don't
Bobby Brown.
I don't believe in that. Like, I don't believe that that's possible. I also just haven't ever experienced it, and I know no one who's experienced that. It doesn't seem like it's like realistically possible to me. But
Are
if
you
you have,
sure?
What do you
but you
mean
do
Bobby
have like,
Brown? I'm sorry, man. What do you mean Bobby Brown?
Bobby Brown said he had like a relationship with a ghost.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
Yeah. This is not
Enough.
for those of you who think I'm like a weirdo, look it up. There's a lot of people who
well,
claim to have sex with ghosts all the time.
and I think sometimes that
Mhm.
that would be considered like succubus. I think like that's
Excuse me?
like have you heard of the term
Oh,
succubus?
yeah,
I
I know a couple of them.
Well,
What is succubus?
I don't know very much about this. I'm not getting
Isn't
into
it
the
Okay,
a
just tell
female
us what it is.
demon? It's
Tell
a
us what
female
it
it's
is.
demon.
like it's a demon that like is known to like a female demon who's known to like sexually advance on people or whatever. So that's a belief
And her name
for some
is
people.
Succubus.
Yeah,
Well,
succubus.
no, that's like the kind of demon. I think that's more succubi. Like, I think it's multiple. It's
But
like
you're
a
not
term.
but you're not
She
a
is
demon
an
lady.
evil
You don't like
woman that uses her her feminine energy to lure you in.
to suck a bus. But you're
No.
not a demon person, Amanda, right? You're
Jeez.
you're
I'm
out on
not.
demons.
No, I'm not a demon person. No, I like you said, I'm a paranormal ponder. I do a lot of heavy research into the like historical aspects of hauntings. I investigate and kind of experiment with different ways to investigate hauntings. And then I like to kind of have intellectual discussions around, you know, the complexities of it. So I'm like a more heady, like pseudo academic, not actual academic, but like that's my approach on it. And so therefore I'm like skeptic kind of compared to some people. But I mean, I've seen some crazy shit. Like I've definitely seen some stuff that didn't even make sense to me. But the demon stuff I'm not into.
Okay, that was my next question. You obviously have chosen to go into haunted places and explore for yourself. What does that mean? What are your tools? Do you have like mace? Do you have a
young priest and an old priest.
yeah? What's going on? What are you strapped with when you go into these hotels?
God,
And like, do you spend the night? What's going on?
Vacuum.
yeah, I do overnight investigations, most commonly, like in at least until like 4 a.m. or whatever. But I have like I'm looking at like 3 cases full of equipment right now. I have like a backpack that's a camera backpack with different departments, and that's typically what I bring because it's easiest for me to have on the go. But what I'm always bringing with me would be a flashlight, a camera, a digital recorder to record like voices or anything I might hear. I have a REM pod, which is like looks like a puck and it has an antenna. And if something gets close to it, it makes noises and it lights up. I have lots of stuff like that.
Has that
like
ever
lots
gone
of,
off on you?
It has a couple times, yeah.
And that means
And there's something around you.
Suck
There's
buses
something-
right there.
No.
That
no.
means it's
succubus.
a succubus.
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 Yeah. No, but I have tons of equipment. There's tons of like gadgets out there that are made for investigating. There's also like EMF meters, which electricians use, and we just have started using to measure energy fields of ghosts. It even feels silly for me to say sometimes. And like I said, I do maintain a pretty skeptical outlook on a lot of this, but I've seen everything that I own work on an investigation at least once. So, gosh, what else? Just tons of stuff. One of my favorites though that I have is called a spirit box. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. You probably have never heard of any equipment
No.
for ghost hunting. Okay, well, a spirit box is very popular in the field right now. It is basically just an AM/FM radio, but it has a sweeping function, so it can sweep forward through the station super fast. so that you're not really hearing too much words. You're mostly hearing static. And so you put the spirit box with noise isolating headphones and then a blindfold. And so then the person is just listening to static, basically, and can't see or hear anything else. And then you have another person ask questions. And it's been proven to work that the person who's just listening to static will hear words come through and will say them, and they'll be in answer to the questions that are being asked. So that's called the Estes method, and that's one of the most popular methods in investigating.
Wait a minute. Have you ever worn the headphones listening?
Yes, I do that often.
So what's the
What kind of question is
creepiest?
that, Jack?
What's the creepiest answer a ghost has given you?
So in April, I went to the real Conjuring house, the farmhouse that the first Conjuring movie was based off of.
Massachusetts, right?
Connecticut?
In Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Both wrong.
In Rhode
Perfect.
Island, yeah. It's really close to Massachusetts.
Yeah,
so,
we're idiots. You don't have to.
No, it's okay. But yeah, so I went to the Conjuring house, and the Conjuring house wasn't super active actually, but we did an Estes method, and I was sitting in a dark room, and I heard very distinctly, like at separate intervals, but a full sentence that said, "Get the fuck up and run." And I was like, I have it on video somewhere, but it's like, I didn't want to say it out loud because it just sounded ridiculous. Honestly, I'm like, this doesn't even sound like something that, like, it sounds like something that you see on a movie or on a stupid YouTube channel or something.
But here's my question. Did you run? Did you run?
Yeah, she
I
held
didn't
on to it.
run. I didn't run, but I did get pretty spooked. So I took off my headphones because that was really spooky to me. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, I've heard some pretty crazy stuff, and I even actually that same investigation at the Conjuring house, I also sometimes can see things because you're blindfolded, and your mind just wanders and you like see images in your head like anyone does. But I saw this like woman standing by one of the guys in the group with us, and I don't know him very well. And in my head, I just thought, Mom, I think that guy's mom is here for some reason. And I didn't say anything about it while we were doing it until later. And I was like, hey, has anyone's mom passed away? And his mom had passed away. And that was a really weird experience. Because like I said, I'm not a medium, but I feel like when you get yourself into those experiments, that it kind of opens up a door to being able to experience stuff like that. Like, I don't know, that was like one of the crazier times that I've experienced.
Hell of a career you've chosen for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. My thing again, I like you, Amanda, but I just really hope nothing comes and jumps at me in the middle of the night with these like story talks.
We've opened up the gates. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Guaranteed 100% haunted places in Spokane are.
Guaranteed haunted places. Davenport Hotel.
Yeah. The Grand.
Yeah. Not the Grand. Is that what you
Tower?
said?
No.
Oh, sorry. The historic.
The original,
I'm sorry.
The historic. I was
Sorry.
like, is
Original.
the Grand haunted too? I don't think so. So the Davenport is one. This is gonna be some weird ones here. The Yuppie Puppy downtown Spokane. It used to be a bar that I know for a fact is haunted, which is like a weird place. But then you have 1,000 Steps, the Greenwood Memorial Cemetery.
In there.
Yep, that's a pretty famous one. I think that cemetery is haunted besides the 1,000 Steps. What else you have? The Campbell House.
Okay. Mount St. Michael's. The school up top on like
the hill. Yeah. I've heard about that too, but I think that's still occupied by nuns, right? Yeah. And then
that's even creepier.
Another one. I know, right? It's creepy. I tried to go up there to the cemetery. There's like a little cemetery that
right
they
across
have up
the
there.
street.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go because I felt like I was like trespassing kind of. But yeah, and then I would say the most famous one I think for Spokane is the Hahn Mansion, which is on 17th Avenue. Have you guys heard of the Hahn Mansion?
Uh-uh.
So the Hahn Mansion is just a big house on 17th. It's lived in now by people, but it was previously owned by this like quack doctor, basically. He claimed he was a doctor. He wasn't really a full-fledged doctor, but he did give illegal abortions in his basement. Sorry, that's like trigger warning,
yeah,
but
it is what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
he gave illegal operations in his basement. He was also known to throw elaborate parties. At the time, they had a pool in the backyard. He had an incident where he even drove his car into the pool during a party. He would blast music outside of the house, and it just was a very extravagant guy. And then
He sounds like a
his,
hell of a guy.
oh, it's a crazy story. Very abbreviated. It's a long story, but his wife ends up dying in the house due to suicide, but it looks like he might have done it. He ends up moving out of the house, loses his money, and then he ends up getting murdered in an apartment downtown by his own bayonet.
Where downtown?
The Madison, actually, if you know the Madison apartments. I don't know how recent you guys have been here or but there's a
literally
building
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So down the street from the Montvale, the same block as like
He was
whatever,
murdered
the Madison apartments.
with his own bayonet.
Yeah, so somebody broke into his house and was going to rob him, and he approached him, and the guy grabbed a gun that had a bayonet on it and actually murdered Mr. Hahn during the robbery.
So Mr. Hahn's lurking in his mansion.
Yeah,
No,
so it said that
apartment downtown.
Yeah, so it said that the apartment downtown may be haunted, but also his house, people can hear like faint partying sounds, like people yelling and music and
Great
footsteps.
Gatsby.
Very Great Gatsby. Yeah, it's very much like that. Yeah, so the Haunted Mansion's a really famous one. People outside of Spokane know that story, but I haven't investigated there because somebody lives there. So yeah, I would say those are the most haunted.
God bless you.
Amanda Paulson, she's incredible, excellent stuff. Follow her on Instagram at where, Amanda?
Pretty effing spooky. That's FN, not the real word. Pretty effing spooky.
And where else do people find you?
I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and prettyeffingspooky.com.
And your home address and phone number?
Yeah, don't tell Jack.
Last question before we let you go. You mentioned it off the top, and I literally wrote it down because I wanted to bring it back up. Sasquatch, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh,
100%.
yes.
100%.
Vancouver Island, right?
Or do you think there's a number of Sasquatches?
I think so. We're basically going to leave on this note, and it's a really weird one, so everyone do their own research. But I think that Sasquatch is the ghost of an alien, basically.
Okay. Do you know?
Do you think there's just one, or do you think there's a number of them cruising around?
I think there's a number of them. I think
that's a possibility, though. I've never heard that possibility, but it makes sense.
It's the thing that makes the most sense to me because we have such a hard time gathering physical evidence of Sasquatch, and there's only ever footsteps or like faint like traces of Sasquatch, but we can't find any actual evidence of this animal that apparently is roaming around even like in Washington. I think it makes more sense basically for it to be a ghost of anything, but I like to think it's like some kind of alien creature, something that we're not familiar with, but I think it's some kind of ghost personally. But I've spent a lot of time on the Olympic Peninsula in the last year, and I've had some Sasquatch experiences out there, so I do believe in Sasquatch.
Done. You heard it.
Done deal. Sasquatch is real. Ghosts are real. Amanda Paulson is real. Thank you so much for your time, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. We appreciate you. Oh,
Thank you. It's been such a good time. Thank you so much.
Jack.
Thank you, Amanda. That was awesome.
Thank you, guys. I will leave you now. I promise not to have any ghosts haunt your place. I'll tell them not to. If they do, send them my way.
We'll get it.
We're coming after you immediately.
Yeah.
Let me know. All right. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thank you.
Bye, Amanda.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to Amanda. Excellent stuff. Ghosts are, she is towing the line of like talking to us, like, yeah, what I do is kind of crazy, but also like ghosts are definitely for real. You know what I mean?
Dude, I have so many more questions.
Mhm.
I have so little time.
She pretty much confirmed that your house is haunted.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a cat that I swear sees demons. Or no, I'm not putting it out there, guys. Never mind. I shouldn't even say that.
Honestly, people having listened to this podcast all the way through,
Your
I
house
feel
is
like
haunted.
I feel like ghosts could get in your ear hole.
Yep.
And now,
No,
boom,
and your
done deal.
mind, and you're gonna manifest it. So good night, boys and girls, and enjoy that.
That's all I got, Rob.
Well, here's what I got.
What do you got?
When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too.